What's up, people? Welcome to a brand new edition of the Eastern Lariat Year-End Special. The last episode of the year, and it's going to be interesting because we're going to do our prediction special this very year of our Lord 2024 into 2025. We're really looking for 2025, looking forward to it with everything going on right now. You know, all the big shows are happening. STRIGGA's in Japan. It seems like half of the people I know are in Japan right now, prepared for Wrestle Kingdom and many, many other shows going on. Just a ton of stuff going on. We've already had the DDT Ultimate Party. We've had the Stardom Dream Queendom. We got All Japan coming up. By the time you listen to this, that will probably have taken place. Noah coming up as well. So lots of cool stuff happening right now. And I wanted to close the year out right. Close the year out looking ahead for predictions. And on top of that, I will be previewing the awards. Our biggest show of the year, annually, the year-end awards. And that is for 2024. So we're taking a look back at the past. We're taking a look towards the future as well. So you get a little bit of both on this year-end show. As I said, STRIGGA is not here right now. But that will be only temporary, as we did do a little segment that I'm going to put in here. I wasn't expecting it, but he did it. He made the time, and yeah, it should be pretty good. So we both got our predictions as well coming in. But that is going to be near the end. Right now, I want to talk a little bit about the awards. As I said, we have to look back before we go forward. And just going to give a little bit of a rundown, people that I have in mind. Look at the awards where we're at. They're all the same as last year and the half-year awards. So, you know, it's a lot of cool stuff going on right now. But the awards are always kind of, you know, they're a good look at where we're at in the overall grand scheme of things, pretty much. So when you look at the awards here, I'll briefly preview the awards and talk a little bit about where we are, where we're going. I mean, Best Foreigner, Stan Hansen Award, obviously a legacy award for many people. You know, it's one of those things where you look around and it's always from, like, New Japan is obviously going to be big on these awards just because there's so many foreigners. Last year, I mean, we're going to get a new winner this year for sure. Last year was like Will Ospreay's year at our awards in general. So we're going to get a lot more different awards this year than we had last year. The half-year awards, we had Zach getting the advantage. And I'm not going to let it slip really where I'm going on these awards, more so just kind of tell you what I think might happen. And maybe some people to look at. I'd be surprised if Zach doesn't get it. I think the half-year awards are going to tell the tale. You know, Gabe Kidd had some good votes in the first half. Bozilla had a little bit, who, I mean, she's been one of the highlights of Marigold. If you want to throw her a bone on that end, I think she's done a great job in there. Otherwise, we had a lot of people. EO, Dr. Wagner Jr. I mean, like I said, we talked about it. We're kind of nearing where something that might be his swan song. Hartley's wrestled at a bunch of promotions. Brooks did win the title for DDT at the end of the year, so maybe there's some kind of late surge. But I'd be really surprised if Zach doesn't get it here, you know, for the fans voting anyway. For the Rookie of the Year award, last year Yuma Anzai won in a landslide, as he was correct to win in a landslide. The half-year awards this year were close. I mean, Yu Owada and Oleg Bolton, they had a time with it. Ryuya Tanaka, still eligible. Victoria Yuzuki got a lot of awards in the half-year voting. I'd be surprised if she's able to keep it up here. But the top three, I think, are accurate. You've got Olka, who's had a really good year as well. Bozilla, obviously, she didn't get a ton of awards in the Rookie of the Year, but she could have worked her way up there. Chi-Chi, still eligible. That is very important to note if you would like to vote for her. We always welcome Chi-Chi votes on every award on this show. Sayaka Karara, Wakana Waihara, Rana Yagami, a lot of the Joshi class, they've all had good second halves of the year, excuse me. So those are people to look out for there. In terms of there's been a lot of people that have improved. Anzai won this half-year award. I gotta say, I didn't agree with it at the time, and I still wouldn't now. I thought Anzai was already great. He improved by winning the Triple Crown. He improved his status, I suppose. Rin Ayabe, second place. Yurika Oka, that's who I voted for in the half-year awards, and she had a wonderful year. Just a lot of these people are in smaller promotions. You have people like Gabe Kidd, that was rated highly. Seigo, I think, is Seigo Tachibana, I think, is a great choice. Ishin from Dragon Gate, right at the top of the list, I think, of somebody who really improved. I think his status went way up. Both of those two, to me, have to be the top contenders. You had people like Hanan, Hyo, I definitely don't agree with that. Kosei Fujita. All of these, it was a tight battle for this award. It was close cut. Mirai, I don't agree with that. I think she's kind of unimproved, if anything, since going to Mari Gold. But, a lot of people. There's a lot of different people that you can vote for. Really good. Half-year style for best promotion. This is one of those that you could go either way. Last year, All Japan won in a landslide. Huge win for them. And this one was a lot closer. This half-year awards, Noah narrowly eclipsed All Japan, which I thought was a major upset at the time. It's one of those things where, you look at it now, we'll see how people change from where they were at the half-year. That's going to be really interesting. All Japan did get a lot of votes. Tokyo Joshi got some votes. DG got some votes as well. But really Noah and All Japan were kind of the top two. I'd be surprised if Noah didn't drop off a little bit. But I think DG has really stepped their game up. All Japan, always very consistent. And everyone else is kind of up and down. I've been doing the report cards on the Patreon if y'all want to listen to them. I got a comment on there when I was talking about the New Japan one. I went a little high, on that one. I may release one of these report cards for free. But I've done all 5 of the major men's companies, and we'll try to do the Joshi ones as well. So want to get everybody down. But best promotion, most improved. It was a dogfight in the half year. We'll see how it goes in the year, and I'm really interested to see what people think of this, because last year was a landslide with All Japan, and this year it was really close. So I wonder what's going to happen. Show of the year. The show that won last year's best show of the year, this was another one that was kind of a dogfight. But in the end, it was the Muto retirement show. I personally would have gone All-Star Grand Queendom. But I didn't think that was a bad choice at all. That was a totally valid pick, in my opinion. Just the spectacle of it was just on a completely different level. Show of the year, half year, it was another close battle. A lot of shows got votes for a half year show. Despi Invitational had the lead, and I think that will be one of the favorites this year for sure. This award, I think, among all of them, suffers the most from and match of the year. But the earlier on in the year you have something great, you're often at a disadvantage, and that's why the Muto retirement show was so special. We had TJP Grand Princess, got a lot of votes. Bloodsport Bushido got a lot of votes. Shout out Josh Barnett. Wrestle Kingdom 18 got some votes. So there's a lot here. In the second half of the year, we did have the major shows for DG, DDT, Stardom, and All Japan. So they're all there. I'm recording this extremely shortly before the big All Japan show. But I've seen everything else. I saw Dream Queendom just a few hours ago. But all of the big shows were there. A lot of big shows were there. The G1 Climax Finals was there, which I don't think is, anyway, a show of the year candidate whatsoever. We'll have to see how they go. I think this is a tough one. I honestly think you can really go a lot of different ways with this. What you wanted the vote to be. I think you have a lot of different shows and a lot of different styles represented. I think some of the Sorryism shows should be thought about as well. Best bout. This is always one where a ton happens. It's hard to really go for it. There's so many things, but Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay won last year, another Ospreay award. It's another one, like I said, where it's last year was kind of Will's year in our awards, and that was his swan song to Japan. And this year we're going to see a lot of new different winners and stuff. I remember talking about that match, and I remember saying something to the effect of that in a lot of ways, that was the boring choice, but that doesn't mean it wasn't the right one either. I voted for that too, I'm pretty sure. And deservingly so. Like I said, I really had no issue with that. Best bout in the half-year awards for this year. It really was closer than I might have thought at first, to be honest. And we'll see if upon reflection we all change, and I always encourage that. I always say that we should try to analyze our opinions later on. There's nothing wrong with changing your opinions after times change and after you get different feelings and different information. But the half year, we had Bryan and Zack Sabre Jr. from New Beginning in February, and Sari and Mayu Iwatani from Stardom in April. Those were neck and neck, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were right near the top of the list once again. I think it's going to be interesting what people nominate from the second half of this year. I really got to shout out the Arisa Nakajima retirement match. Obviously, the emotion of it all gives it a boost, but I think it's still worth watching. If anybody out there, even if you don't watch Joshi, it's a big deal. Track it down. It's really good. A lot of the Sari matches in general should always be looked at. It could be threats for this award. You've had big matches in other companies, as I've said, that you could look at. All Japan had a bunch of Anzai matches that you could put in there. Anzai versus Honda. Anzai versus Rei Saito. That was a fantastic match, in my opinion. So you've got a lot of stuff here to pick from. I wouldn't bet against Bryan and Zach still winning it, though, overall. I'm not saying they will, and I have no problem if they do. I probably voted for that in the half year. I'm pretty sure I did. Sorry, Mayu was close, though. You had a lot here. We'll see how it goes overall. It's always one of the more fun awards because you can really look at them like up and down. Kawada Taui Trophy. This is going to be interesting for this year. Tag team wrestling is always one of the ones that's kind of difficult. Last year, you had the Astronauts. And in the half-year awards, it looks like the Astronauts, their supremacy is dying out. And with Takuya leaving Big Japan, I don't foresee it coming back in the near future. It feels like the team has reached its pinnacle. It might be time to freshen some things up. Even though they are still a great team. In the half-year awards, we had Team 200 kilograms, the Saito brothers, and FCC. And FCC actually won in the half-year awards, which was delightful to me. I think, though, a lot of teams got votes. You had Daisy Monkey, the War Dogs team, Clark Connors and Drilla. Astronauts still did get some support. Team No Hug of Dragon Kid and Naruki Doi. Wing Gory, who I could see improving. I think they deserve a look. I haven't been the biggest fan of Hanan as a singles push. They've really forced her down all of our throats this year. But they really improved when they started teaming her up with Ida more regularly. I think that's a much better role for her in general. Lots of good picks here. Gopi Adores, Crazy Star, Miyamoto, and Yurika Oka all deserve looks, in my opinion. But to me, if you were asking my predictions, I would be surprised if the Saito Bros don't take it. And then maybe you guys will surprise me. I'm not locked in on them as my pick. But I think they've just elevated their star power so much that the name value is going to overcome. And sadly, they pretty much, like right before our half-year awards, they really mishandled FCC and Stardom. Although they did just win a big title in Oz Academy. I'd be surprised if they take it. Although there is no way I'm going to argue a Hazuki and Kogama win if that were to happen. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'd be surprised if it wasn't the Saitos, but look out for some of these other teams. Take a look at some of the Joshi teams, because I think they're a better team overall. Or there's a better tag team scene in Joshi than the men's promotions for the most part. Occasionally, like in a DG, you get a lot of great matches. And I get the feeling someone I'm going to talk about a little bit later who said in some predictions is not going to like what I'm about to say. But you get a lot of great matches. I'm not denying that. But in terms of extended tag runs, there's, like, outside of No Hug, there just isn't that many teams that have had this wild year. And I think that's why the Saito brothers are always on the forefront of everyone's mind. I think if you look at their tag matches, like their match catalog this year, there aren't a lot of match of the year matches with them in it as tag teams, but they're such a legit team that their run feels more substantial, even if other teams have had better in-ring years. I think a lot of companies, they don't do a great job of promoting their teams as long-term acts, and I think a lot of people, I wish people looked at tag team wrestling better. I always say this is always a kind of a disappointing award for me, because it used to be so important, but nowadays I think a lot of fans have a negative outlook that tag wrestling is lesser than singles wrestling, and that's wrong. Like, that's not the correct way to approach things. Same thing with the six-man titles. I mean, I've been watching DG forever. The Triangle Gate belts used to be a completely valuable and vital part of the promotion. Like, there's no reason six-man and tag matches can't both have amazing moments and matches. And teams be vital to the promotion, which we are seeing with the Saitos right now. I hope that we can get more of that level of teams promoted in 2025. But we'll see how it goes with the Kawadi Taue Award. Liger Award for Best Junior Heavyweight. Last year, you had Fuminori Abe take it. This year, you had Desperado win the half-year award in a landslide. This is always fun because we always go through the same situation every year where the half-year awards come everyone votes for some New Japan guy, and then because of how the promotion books, like, nearly every junior is put on the bench. I mean, Desperado did barely anything the second half of the year to be able to be for this, although, first half I had no problem with him, obviously. There may have been some recency bias based off of that Desperado Invitational show. Had Abe get a little bit of support, Jackie Kame get some report. That's not going to happen. That probably won't happen for this year in the awards. Talk about a guy who fell off huge in the second half. It was Jackie Kame. Rising Hayato. Yeah, I mean, we got a fun prediction with Strigg when he comes in. We're about to introduce him in a little bit. He deserves it. Dan, Doki. I think Doki is going to get a lot of votes. If you were making predictions, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to find out who the people pick, for this, because I think there's a lot of great options overall. Tanahashi Trophy last year, it was a little close with Kento, but Ospreay won pretty easily. New champion this year for this. In the half-year awards, Sari won in a landslide, which was accurate then, and I personally, I'd be surprised if you guys don't. And I'm talking to you right now. She needs to be up there as one of the absolute best wrestlers overall. You had Kaito, Zack, Chihiro Hashimoto, Yuma Anzai, who totally should be up there, in my opinion. Keno, Ueno, Kento, Mayu got a couple of votes. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot of people to vote for. And I think people will favor big stars, and I think Zack is going to get a bump. It wouldn't surprise me if he won, to be honest. You could question his status as champion, but his wrestling is still, really strong. I think most people would agree with that. His reputation precedes him. He got a push, and you can point to multiple different matches. So I think that he's a guy that should be considered a favorite. Anzai could as well, but the fact that he didn't get a lot of love in the half year means he probably won't this year. But Sari and Zack are kind of where I'm feeling it right now. But there are some other options as well if you wanted to take a look at. You can point to somebody like a Yamato and Dragon Gate as their champion. Had this really strong title run that you could look at. So that would be something. But there's a lot of different people that you could look at. Kento, always a threat. But it's going to be interesting for the Tanahashi Trophy. For best moment, there was a ton of great stuff. Muto and Shono wrestling. You had Kaito kicking Okada in the head. Get a ton of votes. This year in the half year, we had Naito's Dome post-match, where he finally did his LIJ roll call. Sonata saved him from evil. All that. The Dead or Alive post-match had a lot of votes as well. Miyu Watanabe won the Princess of Princesses title. That was big. Io and Utami's reveal, where Utami broke down at revealing their match. Tsukasa challenging Mayu Iwatani. Fujita Junior Hayato appearing in the Rambo. I'm pretty sure that was my pick. But you could go there as well. Second half of the year, I mean, you had, in terms of moments, it's going to be interesting what people see as big moments. Obviously, Zack won the G1, so everyone's going to point to that. I still point to Arisa Nakajima's retirement. Has to be way up there. You've had all kinds of stuff going down in terms of emotion. You had Starlight Kid finish her story. I mean, Saya won the red belt as well. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Stardom show. But, They did their things and they paid off their stories. I don't know if it had the emotional weight of some of these other things overall. You know, obviously, like the N1 win, I don't think really held much to it, to be honest, with all due respect. But we'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, you have a lot going on, and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, Toyota Trophy, Joshi MVP. Sorry, won in a landslide. Should certainly be the favorite in the from the half year award. She won in a landslide. Last year, Julia won, which famously I pretty strongly disagreed with. And not just because she left halfway through this year and we knew that was going to happen, but I just disagreed with her year being that way, being put as an MVP level year. But I'm not going to, the people decides it. It's not the Dylan Awards. You're allowed to vote for whoever you want. And us disagreeing is totally okay at the end of the day. This year, I think we have a pretty clear-cut favorite with Sorry. In the half-year awards, Mayu got some love, which I can see her snagging some votes. And she's had a great year, very varied year. Very varied. How do you like that wordplay? Micah got some votes, and I know that we've got some Micah super fans listening to this that are always going to be on her side. She did have the big red belt one. Miyu Watanabe, again, has held the title all year in Tokyo Joshi Pro. So that's somebody that you could look at right there. Maybe with the influx of Sendai girls now being on Wrestle Universe, somebody like a Seahash might get a chance at a Chihiro, where she might get some big rise up in votes. But like I said, my antenna is leaning towards Sorry, and we'll see if you guys agree. Kobashi MVP Award. Last year, it was a super tight battle, but in the end, Kento got it. I fully expect a different winner this year. And I expect a different winner for the half-year award as well, where Kaito got it. We'll see. I didn't expect him to win the half-year. I thought, that was a stunner to me. And again, it's totally okay for us to all disagree. A lot of people got votes. A lot of people voted on the half-year awards, let's be fair. But, he had a dominant win over Anzai and Yuki Ueno, who was... I thought I had a huge swerve picking Ueno. But the numbers backed up his importance. Naito will always get votes in this award as well. That kind of shows you that I'm not always the most reliable predictor, because I thought that he might be the one that they look at. I think that, you look at the differences with when Yuki Ueno was champion and compared to where they're at now, and the differences between Anzai being champion and where they're at now, I think you can see that they really did mean a lot. That wasn't just BS I was shoving you guys. They were extremely valuable to the company. I think Sorry has a case for the overall scene. And I think that her value is more tangibly seen than a lot of these other ones who have business metrics. The MVP award, the Toyota Trophy, and the Kobashi Trophy. That includes everything. It's not just in-ring. It's your star power and everything you do for the company. And we always say, who would make the difference? Who would make the biggest difference if a company had lost them on January 1st to now? I think Yamato has had a great second half of the year and really risen up. I think a good thing about him and why I'm considering voting for him, I'm still debating this myself. And, you've got 2 weeks to decide, so you don't have to vote right away. Just make sure it's within 2 weeks. But, he was still doing stuff with Minoru the first half of the year. And then the second half happened with him as champion, and that clearly helped the company. You could clearly see an upgrade with him as champion than what they were doing with Monte. I still say this. He doesn't really have the in-ring to match the others. But in terms of a singular difference maker, if Shun Skywalker had retired on January 1st, that company is massively different. And not for the better. Like I said, he feels to me, though, like a really good point guard in the NBA. Somebody who, gets a ton of assists and plays great defense, but he doesn't have the highest points per game average. And people, a lot of times the voters are going to be all over that, ultimately. Yeah, so I think Shun definitely has to be up there. But he's more of a dark horse candidate, I would throw out. I think Yamato, he has the belt, so that's where you're going to go with that automatically. I think Go, like Shiozaki, underrated candidate, like both Tanahashi Trophy and MVP. I mean, it's hard to tell what MVP for a 0-1 means, being the champion. But even in Noah, him and what he's been able to do with the Limit Break shows, he really deserves a lot of credit for adding good to that company, which we did not have a lot of nice things to say about in the past, especially this year, especially the second half of this year. Yeah, but those are the awards coming up. As I said, the awards will 100% be all over the place on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. We will have links everywhere. So please vote on the awards. I made them myself this year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. This is always one of my favorite. It's really our biggest episode most years. But just on a personal level, my favorite. And yeah, it's going to be good. So the awards coming up. That was the past. That was 2024. We are going to settle the score on that in a couple of weeks. But right now, we've got some predictions. What do you guys think is going to happen in 2025? It could be anything. I said, I don't care if it's crazy or great or realistic. In whatever company you want, you could predict anything. I open it up to everybody out there, and let's go through them. So, first of all, at Marino Wrestling on Twitter here. You've got Yuki Arai wins the Princess of Princesses. That's a TJP prediction. I think that is totally not only possible, but likely. I think that would be considered one of the favorite predictions so far. I am not a fan of Yuki Arai at all as a wrestler. But she was already really their true project. And with her announcing that she's focusing on wrestling full time, I think it's like almost a guarantee that she will be the face of this company very soon. Kota Minoura wins the Dream Gate. Totally think that's possible. Him winning the Twin Gate belts kind of threw me off a little bit. That maybe it will at least take a little while. It's not like he's going to do it right away, and they're building up to the Strong Machine J match, which I think is great to see. I think he deserves it in his hometown. And it at least gives Minoura a little bit to stall. But that could very easily be the Kobe World main event. Kota Minoura versus Yamato for the Dreamgate title. Like, a year and a half of build. They're trying to build up Minoura. I still have my doubts on him as a top guy, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think they're going to do everything in their power to make it happen. Yota Tsuji winning the G1, totally possible. They really are on the crap or get off the pot phase with a lot of these guys. Like, they don't have time anymore. Tanahashi's retiring. They're finally doing Naito versus Hiromu, their biggest match left. There are no more big matches left. For first-time matches. They have to build these guys up. Like, they don't have a choice. I would argue they should have done it this year. Like, Tsuji should have won this year's Climax, in my opinion. But they saved it for the future, which could turn out to be a good thing as well. They're setting things up to be built up between him, Umino, and really just him and Umino. Uemura and Narita haven't really hit at that level. Oiwa, I don't think they've done a great job since he's come back. But those guys are all young talents that they can look at. Gabe Kidd, somebody they're pushing heavily. We'll see. But Isuji winning G1, totally possible. Io Del Dr. Wagner Jr. signing with New Japan, that would be a swerve. A lot of people think he's going to WWE. I've heard personally that Regal is a huge fan of his and has wanted him for years. And this Noah run this last year, and not just, I was never told this or anything, but if you just look at it, it really does feel like a gold watch year. They put the belt on him for a few months, gave him a lot of provisions, and then he really didn't do that much the second half of the year. So him going to New Japan would be a surprise. I wonder what they would do with him if he went there. He's honestly not an easy fit on that roster. I mean, he's not an easy fit in WWE either, don't get me wrong. But I think with his size, and obviously he's got charisma and a really talented worker, he's somebody they should want. Does he want to go there is the question. His dad was a fantastic junior. Dr. Wagner Jr., late 90s, early 2000s. He was great in New Japan. I would love to see him carry on that lineage. The more we're talking about it, the more I would love to see it. So I'm going to go with that. I wouldn't say it's unlikely or likely. Maybe a little bit less, a little bit more unlikely than likely. But far from impossible. Momo Watanabe leaves Hate. That'll never happen. It's completely impossible. Momo must be in Hate forever. I mean, I want this to happen. If you were asking what I wanted, out of all the predictions we got, this would be one of my top picks. Because they totally handicap her, but she shows that she can still be the one. She can be the white belt Momo, the true heart of pro wrestling. She can be that. But it will never happen in Hate. So I really hope that happens. It's one of those things where it's been talked about so many years in a row. Realistically, it will have to happen eventually. But I'm at the phase of I'll believe it when I see it. But it is a good prediction. Riku Honda betrays Elpida. To be honest, I think that's a great idea. I was talking when I was on a Jumping Knee Pod with Jess. That was the unofficial theme of our show together. By the way, she had her own awards on there. For the year-end awards for All Japan only. So check that out. I had my votes in there. It was really good stuff. Her and Lewis really delivered. So check that out. But they need, we wish, the theme of our show was that we really miss Gungnir of Anarchy. That would boost Ashino and Honda both, if they brought it back. They put so much into Ayabe that Honda's kind of, he's fell backwards. But I could totally see this year, 2025, being a big Honda year. They put him on the back burner for this year. They gave Ayabe a lot. I think this may be the year we see Honda get a lot of rub overall. Final prediction for Marino. Katsuhiko Nakajima remains Lidet UWF champion all year. The only thing that could stop this is if the president of All Japan goes rogue and just wants to bring him back against everyone's wishes, it seems like he likes going against people's wishes. Based on how this interview he did has come across recently, that's gotten a lot of talk on Twitter. I feel really bad for Irv, most of all the one translating it, because I know he agrees with me about how stupid this all is. But that's the only thing that can stop it. Otherwise, the other thing that can stop it is if they just finally pull the plug on it, if Glate just goes out of business. We did see Gabe Kidd trash talk Nakajima on Twitter. I don't know if that was trying to build buzz or something like that in Japan, but that is pretty interesting timing. That has come up once again right at the end of the year. And I know it. I know that there are people in New Japan that want him there. But his mind is really hard to get into. And he's done there's a lot of people that don't want him there. I don't think I'm exposing state secrets by saying that. So I feel like it may be inevitable that he gets that call for some reason for New Japan, but maybe not. And if not, then why? Then he really doesn't have any other options except for Glade at this point. So definitely possible. Let's go to Mitch. Thank you, Marino, for your predictions. At Mitch_0902. He says Yuki Ino versus Yukio Naya for the KOD openweight. Man, they're big. I'll give you that. They're not. Ino, I will say this. Naya, I don't think is very good. Ino, I think, did really good in the tag run with Endo. I don't know what their plans are with the KOD this year, but it seems like things are wide open. You had the Ueno run last year. Brooks has it right now. They just broke up Burning, so I could totally see Eno getting a big push. Both of these guys. I mean, Naya's been a project for years in this company, and I think that they'll both get a run. Maybe not with the title, but I think it's definitely possible we see this at some point in 2024. Takeshi Masada singles title win, and not the Iron Man, like a real title. Totally could see that. Again, they need young guys. Him winning makes all the sense in the world. I think that's a really solid prediction, to be honest. And he's the one with the most upside of anybody, in my opinion. Arisu Endo versus Suzume, International Princess Championship match. Sure. I love it. Two of my favorites in the whole company. Deserve all the love in the world, and I hope that they win a lot of matches. I would love to see them in a big-time title match against each other. Arai main events a Big 3 TJP show. Oh, that's like a lock. Like, if that didn't happen and she's not hurt, then that would be a stunner. Yeah, I think that's 100% going to happen. Io Dr. Martin Jr. to WWE. I just spoke on him. I agree with that. I think that's probably the favorite to happen. I wouldn't completely write off him going to New Japan, but I think WWE are the favorites. Kaito versus Tanahashi and Noah. Well, Tanahashi is probably a bit more giving than Okada is at this point. But to be honest, it wouldn't... if that happened, I wouldn't completely bet against Tanahashi, I have to say. And it's a shame to say that, but still. We'll see. Like, do they want to work more with Noah like, at this point? I'm sure Noah would love that. Like, to have Tanahashi on his retirement road go to Noah. He really has very little history in Noah, even compared to, like, an All Japan. He has more. But they have worked together plenty of times. I think for him, it should be kind of like a celebration of the whole Japanese wrestling scene. He's that big of a legend. I said it from day one. I think his retirement being announced for the Tokyo Dome, January 4th, that was a huge mistake. Like, he should have had his own retirement show and ran the Dome with it, like Muto did. He could have easily have done as good or better than Muto. It wouldn't surprise me if it did better, to be honest. And it wouldn't surprise me if it did better than the January 4th show all on its own. Okay, you're bigging up the Dome that year, like the January 4th Dome show. So maybe for, pride and bragging rights, they could say, okay, Wrestle Kingdom's back. Like, because that's what's going to happen. Next year is going to blow away this year's number in the Dome, in all likelihood. Although we have heard good things about the Dome's early ticket sales. But still, next year's Dome is going to be huge. And that's going to allow them to say that. But I think still, overall, it would be bigger if he was on his own, and you could have 2 Dome shows. And 2 legit ones, not like this AEW run, which we have not heard good ticket sales early on yet. Finley New Japan Cup win. I mean, I'm up for that. He's been pretty much their most consistent guy. They stopped goofing around. I mean, this first half of the year for New Japan was brutal. And he was one of the biggest victims of it with the Nick Nemeth thing. That should have never have happened. But even still, due to his performance, I think he deserves it. And I think he is one of the favorites to win and get a world title shot. Yuya Uemura, IWGP Global Champion? Sure. I think that's totally possible. We're going to have to see where they go with Finley and Tsuji and all of this. So I wouldn't say it's a lock, but I think it's definitely a possibility, for sure. So thank you, Mitch, for your predictions. All good stuff there. I liked a lot of them. Let's go to Paps, my good friend Paps, at Paps_wrestling. He is awesome and a good mind for wrestling. Let's see what he says. Finley won a singles tournament of New Japan. Yep. As I said, I would love to see it. I think he's one of the favorites. I wouldn't say it's a lock, but I definitely would say it's a strong possibility. One of the Saitos either wins the Tokyo Sports MVP or comes second after winning the Champion Carnival and Triple Crown belt and breaking every record with the tag belts. You know, that wouldn't surprise me. Like, I mean, they got number 2. Like, they got second this year with them just being on the cusp. It wouldn't be the worst idea if you're All Japan just say, look, screw this. We're going all the way with the Saitos. They are our champions. One of them's winning the Champion Carnival. One of them's winning the Triple Crown. Or maybe they both win both. Maybe at the end of the year, it's Ray versus June for the Triple Crown is the big match. Although Fukuda did say to kind of temper your expectations on running bigger buildings in the near future in his interview. If they went all the way with these guys and they made one of them, not saying he would be, but like give him the face of the company push where they just dominate and one of them wins all these trophies and stuff and titles, that would be about the best shot of a non-New Japan wrestler winning the MVP award for Tokyo Sports. I don't think anybody else can do it. You know, maybe if they did the same with Anzai, they really shot up in popularity. I don't think anybody with Noah has that kind of credibility right now. But I think the Saitos could have a shot if they do it. I wouldn't say it's likely, but it's definitely possible. Kaito Kiyomiya will lose to a WWE name on the 25th anniversary show of Noah. Would he still be the champion? Would he drop the title to this WWE guy? I wonder. We were kind of talking about this privately about how much it would hurt Ozawa if he lost to Kaito right away. And basically, we're in a similar spot to Inamura, where if he loses, it basically slots him where all the other young guys are in Noah, which is not good. But with this gimmick, I just think everything with Team 2000 is so off-putting personally that I probably would avoid it just because of that. If it was otherwise, if it was just him normal, I would 100% say he should win. But with this gimmick, I just don't see it being like what you want at the top of the card. Let me tell you something. Omos, if he's going to be a guy in Noah full-time or like regularly, he's going to be a big star. Like, the crowd is going to rally behind him. He's going to get a big push. And if he counts and he's the one to beat Kaito for the title, that would not surprise me at all. Like, that would be one of my predictions if I had known Amos was coming in before he did. But, yeah, it's definitely possible. Shocking and unexpected name, not Mayu or Mina will leave Stardom. That could be anybody. We know that Rossi tried to get more people to come originally to Marigold. And coincidentally, some of them signed new contracts right around the time of the Cinderella tournament in March, where all this was going down. Could one of those people who signed said, look, I gave you faith that I stayed, and I'm not happy where I'm at. Things are not moving fast enough. Why is Starlight Kid getting these opportunities that I should? And I'm not saying anybody thinks that way. I'm saying if that is how some people think, That's definitely possible. We talked about her earlier, Momo Watanabe. Mayu's one of her mentors. Like, if she sees Mayu's leaving, like, that's the prediction somebody made, but I'm making it too. A little bit later, she's leaving. If somebody who's loyal to her sees her leave, we'll see. I think it's totally possible again. I don't know who, but those are the two names that are kind of coming to my mind at first. People that could leave. Someone like Starlight, it makes no sense. She's getting a great push. The only other thing is if they, Bushiroad comes in and tries to cut some salaries on people, that might change the game a little bit. But yeah, Mayu and Mina leaving would both not be shocking for totally different reasons. But Peps, good stuff. As usual, really like those predictions. I think they're in a good spot of like being possible, but not totally obvious. Like Mayu leaving. That's an obvious one. So let's go to my buddy Ashutosh at Lariat on Twitter. Love how he's going back to watch old DG shows. He's talking about BB Hulk's turn on Shingo, and that was like one of my first big angles as a DG fan. We're at the point where I'm remembering a lot of the stuff that he's watching now, and that's always super cool. Just like when he watched Rings earlier in the year. That was really, really cool. So his predictions are Gabe leaves War Dogs and forms a faction with Young Blood. This is sure. I mean, listen, it wouldn't surprise me if this happened. I think they're going to have to do something with Bullet Club. Like something different with Bullet Club heading into 2025. They're around. I mean, I got this question about the merchandise and all that, but they're around because of that. Do they have big plans for Nakashima and Oscar? Them coming back at all would be, and you would expect that going into the G1 next year. I've seen a little bit of them on Excursion, but I have to say I do think they're not quite fully there yet. And I think Gabe is going to get a main event level push. He's a guy I'm pretty hot and cold on, but as a wrestler, he's great. And the effort is always there. So I think that he is going to be a really big push for New Japan in 2025. Finlay, IWGP World Champion. I'm totally down for that. Really solidify him as the main event foreigner. That would obviously be used to put... ultimately, that run would be used to put over one of the young guys, Shota or, Tsuji. And then, obviously, Gabe Kidd would take over as the top foreigner. In all likelihood. I secretly wish it was Oleg. But still... definitely possible. Not something I would say likely, but I would be totally up for that. And I think that they're going to have some work to do with this title. Even if it's Zach that wins and he retains on January 4th, I think we are going to have to see where they go with that. I think it's something they're going to have to work on, that title as a whole. And that's a fine start to give Finlay a little bit of a push, even if it is to put over other people. Io Sky will face Mayu Iwatani. Oh, if Iwatani jumps to Marigold, Rossi is going to be begging for Io. Like, he is going to promise everything he can to get Io to do a date in Japan. If you listen to the Christmas show me and Yannick did, I ended up booking Io versus Sari, which is what I think I think Marigold should have done, in my opinion. And hindsight's 2020. I totally get why they did it. But to me, Sari, they could do that because Io would have had to win. But in my company, I can make the rules. I can overrule Triple H, which is how it should be in real life. Not just me. Pretty much anybody should be able to overrule Triple H at anything. But EO in a big match for Mari Gold, it's like a lock. And if he has the opportunity, it's going to be against Mayu. So very much like this prediction here. Rei Saito wins the Triple Crown. Talked about it earlier. 100% possible, and I think worthy if it happens. Well, I don't want to speak on it too much because if June wins, that really changes. Going back to the other prediction that Mitch said, Pep said, what if June had won the title against Davey Boy and he held it all year to set up him versus Ray at the end of next year? That would feel like an epic match if that happened. Skywalker turns face. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been on that train for, pretty much since the turn happened. Originally, his path is the logical outcome is to turn babyface. The problem is he's so damn great as a heel that they can't, it's like they can't almost. But they have sowed the seeds for it already to set something up. And this year could be that time. I'm really 50-50 on it. It's one of those things I want to, again, I'll believe it when I see it, kind of. But it's definitely possible. And I think probably more likely than unlikely. And when it does happen, he is going to be electric. I can't wait to see what happens. But the problem is I can't wait to see him even as a heel. He really is one of the best overall characters in any company. And we'll see how he does as a babyface. If he goes back to how he was, then to me, that's an objective downgrade, to what he's been as a heel. He has to be, at least retain most of who he is now. Maybe there's some stuff they can tone down, but he cannot go clean-cut babyface. He has to be this insane guy for me to reach his true potential. KZ time will come. Well, I mean, I gotta say that to me is probably one of the least likely predictions that we've seen so far. I know a lot of people want it. It's like Momo turning from hate, although I would say it's even less likely than that, just because 5 years ago, I probably would have been gunning for this too. But he's only getting older. There's even more young talent to come up. And maybe he will. Maybe he will get a gold watch type of reign. Because he really is at that stage of his career now. Which pretty much was what that tag team was with Flamita. It was a 1-month reign. Which I think most of us thought so. I think Strigga it was like that Dark Masquerade. He just wanted it to happen. Logic be damned. For them to have a long reign and retain, but I thought it was kind of obvious that they were gonna lose early. And they did it. And so I think that situation could happen. And they could build a whole storyline around it. I just don't know where. The only thing I could see that happening is, and even then it's tough because, okay, let's say they build to Minoru and Yamato at Kobe World. And Minoru he wins the Dream Gate, and he doesn't deliver. He has another Kakuta-esque run that is a total flop. And they say, look, we're throwing a wrench into all of this. We have to get our title on somebody else. But our best bet is another heel. So let's let's build up KZ for a month or two. Give him this run, and then he could drop it. Right back to heat up a heel. I don't foresee him being the top champion, but I could see him getting a really brief run. And if they do that, I hope it's similar. Well, the thing is, we don't have a Shingo in this company, but when Susumu beat Shingo for the title, that was a 1 or 2 week title reign, but the win itself was so epic that it lives on 10 years later as this epic moment. So I hope so. I would love if that happened, but I just cannot put my faith in that. I'm sorry. But nevertheless, the other predictions I pretty much agree with. Always one of my favorite listeners and favorite people to talk wrestling with, Ashutosh. So knowledgeable out there. And knowledgeable about Naruto as well, which I appreciate. So, Jamie O.D., another great person. He runs Dramatic DDT. He predicted 2 DDT TJP base predictions. 1, DDT relies more on celebrity wrestlers to draw fans in 2025. 100%, I believe that. Yuki Arai main events an Oda Award show but does not win. I think it's possible that she wins, but also her not winning is definitely possible as well. So, like both of those predictions, Jamie, huge fan of your work. Highly recommend everyone checking out Dramatic DDT. Great website if you're a fan of DDT and you want to learn more, as well as TJP. So passionate. He's what Jay was to Dragon Gate back when he had his website overall. Sent to us on Christmas Eve at Zwin_news. Zwin, longtime fan and friend, really cool guy. He sent us some predictions. Ice Ribbon Mass Exodus. Definitely possible. I mean, they're in an unfortunate situation right now. But, and I think, like, the thing is, if things keep going how they're going, that dam is going to break. What Zwin says is going to happen if they don't do better. I hope they do better. But I have to, unfortunately and sadly say, I pretty much agree with this prediction. But we will see what happens. Stardom approaching Arisa Hoshiki about a comeback, which would be incredible. And a smart move. I think Marigold would try. I think Rossi would at least reach out. I really hope that girl's doing okay, man. She was one of my favorites. If you know, me and her had the exact same injury that ended both of our careers in wrestling. And she also had, like, me and her both also had mental stuff that came from that injury. And it manifested publicly in a horrible way for her and myself as well, I do admit. But I really hope she's okay. And I would love to see her return to the ring. I would love if that happened. The ball would be at her court, especially with Rossi. Like, Marigold would 100% bring her back in. Stardom, I don't know. Like, I don't know if they respect the history that much. I will say, in general, though, I have to say, Okada's improved as the year has gone along. He was coming in fresh last year, like trying to make things work. And it really just, he was in a really tough situation. All the backstage stuff and people leaving, and they've just been in a tough spot. But I think he's done a lot better overall. The last 2 predictions, Mayu leaving Stardom and joining Marigold, and Momo Watanabe face turn, forming her own group. Kind of what we talked about earlier. The first one I think is like a lock. Like, it would be a shocker if she did not leave. She's already teasing it. She's already kind of like severing her ties little by little with Stardom. And that's like a lock to me. Momo Watanabe, I want it to happen so bad. I've been burned so many years wanting this and hearing people talk about it. I really hope you're right, Zwin. I really do. But I want to see it before I confirm it. But it's a good idea. I hope it happens. Great predictions, Zwin. Thanks a lot there. Sandre, my co-host on Dramatic Dream Dragons. We've talked a ton of times. He's in Japan as we speak. Kaisei Takechi will be in a KOD open weight match. Okay, once again, I'm pretty sure I told him this directly, but I will say this. They would love that. If he wants to do it, they will 100% do it, and it will probably be at one of their biggest shows of the year. If not Peter Pan outright. Will he do it? It's kind of the same thing we said about Hoshiki returning. Like, the company may want it, but where is the person's head at? He may not be confident enough. He may not want to put that much effort into it. He might not want the weight of that on his shoulders. People in his industry might not agree with that. There's a lot to overcome with that. But if he did, get ready, because it will be a big boom for whatever show he main events. Nautilus will return and become the new babyface unit in DDT with Sonic Hamina disbanding. I hope so. Yoshimura looks like he, from what we hear, we've got some good news recently on his front. It looks like that he's somebody that I've heard good things about, is all I'm saying. I've heard good things about Yoshimura, and I'm praying for him, and I hope he does come back very, very much. And if he comes back, I 100% want Nautilus to reform more than anything else. To stick it to that low-down piece of trash loser geek in AEW who dared show up with a side that hated on Final Fantasy VIII. I hope you know that Final Fantasy VIII references will live on in wrestling forever. And on top of it, they were one of the best teams going when they were around. So hopeful for that. Definitely think it's possible. Really looking forward to it. Z-Brats will disband or rebrand. We always predict it. We'll believe it when I see it. A rebrand is possible, though. Because ultimately, like, this kind of group, if it's not Z-Brats, it would be somebody like it or another version of it. Like, it's basically a necessary evil for how Dragon Gate promotes its units. So I do think there will be some version of this alive, but I could also see it rebranding and kicking some people out. I think everyone has their eyes open for Shun. Natural Vibes will continue to stay alive. I also agree with that. There's no reason to break them up. They're just always a popular undercard act to have. Gets the fans excited, gets to do great things. You will still struggle to keep up with all the companies. I believe that as well. So very good predictions, Andre. Thank you for participating. At eVampire2 on Twitter. eVampire says Chad Gable loses a match in Japanese soil. Well, first of all, I want him to win if he comes to Japan. That's the only thing I disagree about. He was one of my, if you're looking at a guy from WWE that you would draft pick and want to put in your promotion, he's basically at the top of my list. Like, I said it before, I think he's one of their best workers. His match with Gunther has not been matched, in my opinion. And his feud had so much heart to it. They've unfortunately stuck him in the comedic heel role again, and I don't think he's going anywhere in that company. But if you put him in a Japanese fed, I mean, the sky's the limit. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. And he's somebody Noah needs to be looking at right away. Like another Olympian, maybe, you could put him, you could do all kinds of stuff. Him in an N1 run would be great. If he wanted to do it, he might not want to travel that far. I think that he's a guy that deserves a lot of credit, a lot more roses than the American fans give him, because he's an unbelievable talent. Shota Umino does not turn heel for the entire year. I think we'd have to determine what heel means, because Naito turned heel, quote unquote, but then was pretty much like the top babyface of the company. So I'm taking this to mean not really having a big character change. Like, he's just the Shota Umino we know now, which I think would be on brand for this company, first of all. And secondly, there was that month or so run where he got booed heavily at those two events. But they've kind of redeemed him on the path, or really he's redeemed himself. Again, me and Strigga actually talk about this on our other segment. That's coming up real fast, by the way. Strigga got one more left in him for the year. But he And him and Zack Sabre Jr. have done a great job of redeeming him more than anything, to where a lot of that negativity has kind of died down. So I could see this being true, actually. Saitos participate in the New Japan Tag League. They would love it. I mean, that tag league is dead as dirt. This year especially was the worst that we've ever seen it. It was totally, not only was it bad, it was utterly meaningless. The winners didn't get a tag title shot. It was literally a waste of time. It didn't draw anything worth noting. A bad tag league. Saitos being in that tag league, going to a final, you can put them as a big draw. Absolutely agree. That would be a great idea. But on the other hand, they might be a little bit wary of giving the Saitos any more platform than they already have. Like, they're already big stars even without being in the top company. Do you want to add on more to that? Politically, that could be an issue. But I personally hope it happens. Sari loses the Marigold Championship and leaves. Yeah, I think most people kind of expect that. I don't want her to leave, because I think without her, I mean, that company is in dire shape. I think that she has, kept that company barely afloat. And without her, I worry about what 2025 is going to be like. But, I mean, they've already talked about her going back to WWE. It wouldn't be surprising if they want her back. And I've heard that even they know, her creative sucked. Even the people in charge know, yeah, we really screwed up. If they let Sari come in the Sari way and not the Saray way, that might be a different story. But even still, though, I think there's smoke to this fire that you're putting in, E-Vampire. Final prediction: Noah will keep breaking Strigga's patience. Yes, another great one. Although I think my patience has been tested more because he's going to that show. Do not let Strigga's negative comments fool you, people. He is the tried and true Noah fan. He has bought tickets to their biggest show of the year. He will always have that. I will never let him live it down. Ultimately. But no, what your prediction? E-Vampire, another big one, and another great one. 100% agree. Thank you for your predictions as well. Really appreciate it. Oh, and now, the person who's one of the worst human beings in the world, but who I love so much, and think the world of her wrestling knowledge. But she had this ridiculous troll question here, or troll prediction. And just like I told her, I had to respond to this one directly. Thank God I have a week to prepare for this. In fact, I needed a little more than a week. I needed 10 days. It was purely because of this prediction that she laid at our feet here. That I'm about to expose this prediction to you all and talk about it, although I don't want to. But I needed a few extra days to cover it. But first of all, we got some other predictions. Minoru and Mochizuki Jr. to beat Yamato for the belts. If you're not following DG, right now Yamato's a double champion. He just recently beat Dragon Dia in a title versus title match, so he is the Open the Brave Gate and Open the Dream Gate champion. So this would ideally mean that Mochizuki wins the Dream Gate. No, I'm just kidding. Minoru wins the Dream Gate and Mochizuki Jr. wins the Brave. He's another one. Mochizuki Jr. is somebody I really want to see get pushed up the card in 2025. I think that guy has so much potential. Great charisma. Remember our segment we did a couple of months ago talking about best wrestlers under 30? In Japan, STRIGGA pointed at him as his pick for the top guy. Minoru, as I said, storyline-wise, it makes sense. I hope he could build himself up a little bit more performance-wise. But, I mean, we did see that. To be fair, we did see that the first half of the year with the original Yamato feud. He tapped into something we had not seen before. Skywalker face turn, talked about it already, agree, and I'm super hyped for when it happens. we talked about this privately as well. The good ideas. Shingo versus Mochizuki Jr. happens. She puts in parentheses, girl can pray. I'm praying with you. And this is what these predictions are for. They don't all have to be realistic. They don't all have to be guarantees. They just have to be possible. And this one is possible. I mean, Shingo, to be honest, he's good for, he shows up once a year or so, right? So why not Junior if that happens? And it would be a hell of a match. I would absolutely love if that happened. Master Wato Jr. title run? Hell yeah. All about it. I've said for a long time, he was really improved. People saw him as a geek for so long, and he was. He was. I'm not saying he wasn't. But he has improved. His match with Doki was really good, and in a tough spot if that junior that junior tag league final match. That should be like match of the year candidate at least. That junior tag match. But regardless, Wato junior title run, they want it. I think he's got more to him than Yo of their dojo guys, like their trainees that would be in position to win a belt. So I'm up for that. Hiromu never title run. We've all wanted it forever. It's the same as some of the other stuff. I want it to happen. I'll believe it when I see it. But they are running out of time with him. To me, he's already lost a lot of star power. But I mean, that's going to come back now that he's fighting Naito, and so it doesn't matter that much. If they want to do something with him, now is basically it. Like, they need to hurry up and get around to it. Mayu Tamari Gold, of course, 100%. Not 100%, but very close to it. And then finally, Amy drops this on me. MJ Paul KOD win. And she did mention that she wanted me to talk about it unironically. And that's what I'm going to do. I've always rode for the Eastern Lariat family, and I want to give everybody what they want. So let's break it down. Let's talk about MJ Paul and what needs to happen to get him this KOD win in DDT. So first of all, I think one of the things in his favor, if you really think about it, is that he's in DDT. They have pulled out random stuff a ton of times before. There's been times where, just look at this year. Aoki had no build to him winning. No build for him winning his... no build for him winning the KOD title this year. But it happened. It ended one of their best runs. And that's sad. That's very sad at the end of the day. But it wasn't that sad. He had a good run afterwards. But in the past, they've had random-ass runs with Irie. Going to America, Sami Callihan winning the belt. Dino's won the belt. Satomura won the belt for a month. So, can you really say, if you think about this for real, can you truly say that it's impossible that MJ Paul wins this belt? I don't think you could say that knowing the company he's in. There's no reason that they can't wake up one day and just say, look, now is the time. Now is the time to give MJ Paul what we feel he truly deserves. And I'm not saying I feel that way, but I'm just saying that they may feel that way. Amy feels that way. So who are we to argue with MJ Paul and his fans? They may see, who's to say somebody at DDT doesn't see her post and think that there is a groundswell of support for MJ Paul? I mean, let's face it. Shit, look at this show we're doing. She put it out here. I'm talking about it. Can you argue that someone in DDT will not see this groundswell of support and think he has a huge international appeal? And on top of it, like maybe they think he has an appeal to the women fans in Japan. And I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just telling you what could happen. And I'm talking about this total serious right now. We cannot deny that as a total phenomenon at the end of the day for MJ Paul, that they may feel that he has some sort of untapped, draw for female fans. And I will say this. This man is on a hot streak. Look at the numbers, my friends. Undefeated in the last 2 months of 2024. He's on a 2-month winning streak. 100% accurate wins. I bet you didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that I could reach down so far deep into the archives, talk to who I talked to, secret sources, show me the files, show me the dark matches. I want all the results. 100% win percentage in the last 2 months of 2024. So if he has another month or two, gets all these big Damnation TA wins, I mean, with Sasaki kind of saying he's going to leave, who's to say MJ? Who's to say he doesn't get that role as the leader of Damnation TA? And they look at him and say, hey, we've seen Kanon wrestle. We don't want him as champion. We're not going to push this guy. Are you kidding? Hell no, Takagi might say. We're not going to push Kanon. That's totally possible. Have you seen him wrestle? Can you really say that they wouldn't say that? So I do think with this prediction, I wouldn't say it's likely. He's untested as a main eventer. Let's just be realistic about it. But can you really say that it's impossible? I cannot say that. I think that MJ Paul winning, I root for it on your behalf. I don't know if I would be happy about it as a fan, but because it's DDT, because you want it so bad, I had to do it. And on top of it, maybe God did it, fate, whoever people controls Twitter. When I pulled the Twitter app, X app, whatever, up on my laptop to go through these predictions, yours was at the very top of the list. So I scrolled from the bottom to the top to get to it. So you were the true main event. Twitter demanded you be the last one. And I had to go by the rules. I had to go by the rules of MJ Paul being the KOD champion. What will you do? What will you do if MJ Paul wins at KOD? Will you admit that he's not the Mojo Jojo of wrestling? That's what I want to see. That's my prediction. MJ Paul, KOD champion? You got to come clean. You got to tell the truth. That's what we do on the show, people. And I told the truth all the way through. We had the predictions for the awards. We had a good hour or so on your guys' predictions. And now, I was not expecting this next part of the show, but we cannot end things. We cannot end things in 2024 with just me talking. Me going crazy, talking to myself and all of you people all over the world who I love so much. I have to bring in the man. The man who is in Japan right now. And hopefully we can record something while he's in Japan. We are going to try. We have figured out that time zones are very real to have to work through. But we are gonna do everything in our power. And if not, we will wait until he gets back. And we will bounce back. I promise you that. But to end the year, to close out 2024, let's cut to it. We got some things to talk about. We got predictions. And I think now is the time to welcome my co-host of the Eastern Lariat, the man who started the show, the man who deserves his flowers, the man who deserves the entire world as he continues his globe-trotting ways. We've talked to him from many different countries, usually all in Europe. But this time he went all the way to Japan, our favorite country for wrestling. And now we got to talk about predictions. Let's give it up for my man, STRIGGA.
Hello out there. Yes, I did a quick run in here for this show. I don't have the time to do a full show, unfortunately, with Dylan on this topic. We did this last year, and it was a great time. I saw that you put out some of the predictions, Dylan, on our Twitter at Eastern Lariat, where some of the predictions actually came true from the listeners. So kudos to you who predicted things correctly for 2024. And I do have some predictions here for 2025. It is I've created 6 categories for myself. I have predictions for All Japan, New Japan, Noah, Dragon Gate, DDT, and for others, I have 3 for each category and 3 for the category others, where I only came up with 1 prediction.
I know. I not to interrupt you, Stringer, but I will say for my predictions, I had a promotion. I did it one at a time for my promotion. So you went above and beyond the Call of Duty with yours here. So you went all you went above and beyond. Like I said, I'm impressed by that. I appreciate that.
What promotion do you want to hear first?
Ooh, that could be a lot of different things. Let's start at the top. Let's just go with New Japan here.
Okay.
Let's hear about New Japan.
I think I have the most boring predictions for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I started out with them, and then I went a bit more crazy with the others. So, New Japan Pro Wrestling 2025. First prediction is David Finlay moving up the ladder a bit more than he has been in 2024, and he wins the New Japan Cup and then moves on to wrestle for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, but comes up short, not winning the title.
I like it, well deserved. If that were to happen, I think that Finley's a guy that's won over a lot of people the last year. And I've been a long time supporter of his, and I think he is pretty much the best, the best wrestler at least in ring for the foreign talent right now. After Zack Sabre Jr., of course, who's got a long-term tenure. So you need somebody else to step up. Finley's a great choice. Like that prediction a lot.
Yes, someone else who is supposedly about to step up is Hiromu Takahashi, wrestling Tetsuya Naito in the Tokyo Dome. And my prediction for him is that he then takes the route that a lot of wrestlers take in New Japan Pro Wrestling these days, challenging for the global heavyweight title, for the never openweight title, and for the strong openweight title in 2025, wins one of them, and takes part in the G1 Climax.
Okay, you've got a busy year for Hiromu this year. That's a great idea. I hope that it holds up, and we haven't seen the Dome yet. You are going to be there when it happens. But hopefully everything holds up. Hopefully it's not too late for him. Hopefully they didn't miss lightning in a bottle before with him. Hopefully it's a big year for him.
We'll see about that. I mean, we've called for Hiromu moving up to the Never division for so long now, and it feels like that they missed the boat, to me at least. I don't think that he is as interesting and as unique of a character anymore than he used to be years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has lost a lot of his thunder, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's my fear of it. And the problem is that he's kind of in the main match heading into a Tokyo Dome show.
Yeah.
So hopefully that can. Yeah, hey, if that turns into this epic legendary moment, that may be a kickstart for something next year.
I might go out on a limb here with the third prediction for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Thinking back to last year's G1 and how Yuya Uemura had to drop out due to injury, was replaced by Yura Tsuji in a lot of ways. Might have been someone who could have made it to the final rounds. So here I'm predicting that Yuya Uemura next year will make it to the G1 finals.
Big calling your shots, Strigga. Uemura to the final. Okay, that would be a good follow-up since Tsuji made it this year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. See, so I definitely like the sound of that. Like I said when we talked about it in the G1, I hope when he comes back from this injury, we see a little bit of not a total repackaging, but maybe get some new gear, new music. Kind of make him stand out a little bit more because he's a really talented wrestler. I do feel like he's missing something as a character.
Yeah, let's not have him return as one of those for how many guys, you know?
Yeah, that's gonna have to change since they turned it down. We'll see how that goes overall. But I do like the cut of your jib on that, Strigger.
So the next promotion, Dylan. What do you want to tackle next with me?
You want to hear my one prediction for New Japan here?
For New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay.
Yes. All right, check this out. I went out on a limb here. I said I've got guts. I am going with a jump right now because the man who is main eventing Noah's show, Shinsuke Nakamura, I'm calling him making an appearance in New Japan this year in conjunction with Tanahashi's retirement. I think they're going to get it done some way, somehow. The U.S. champ is going to... I don't think he'll have the belt by the time he comes, if he does make an appearance with New Japan. But still, I'm thinking Nakamura... You cannot end Tanahashi's career without Nakamura involved in some form. So I'm calling my shot. Nakamura is going to make an appearance in New Japan. One way or the other.
They have to get that done. There's just no way around that.
There's a lot of political and business things that could cause friction with this, but I think that they will somehow or another they will force the issue, and WWE has not as closed-minded as before. So
on top of that, WWE could just make this a PR stunt for them as well, working with two of the big promotions in that.
Yeah, that would be something. Remember, they let Carl Anderson wrestle in New Japan even when he was signed. So they've worked together loosely before. I do feel like maybe they'll wager this into some kind of like New Japan gives them something back. I don't know what they have that they would want, but they'll figure it out. I'm sure. WWE always figures out stuff to take from you if you have something.
So fun. I completely blocked Carl Anderson out of my mind, and whenever someone brings it up, I'm sitting here. Oh yeah, that happened, right?
That's how we all feel. So, it's okay. All right, let's go to another. I want to go your tour of shows here. So let's go to Noah that next day. There live. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna love those. My first prediction for Pro Wrestling Noah is that the GHC Women's Title headlines at least one Monday Magic show.
Monday Magic continuing to be the most progressive show in pro wrestling, and so yes, I honestly could totally see that happening. I hope that they could get some, like, really push it forward a little bit more. I don't know if they've done a great job with it so far. To be like the women's title,
no.
I'd really, let's see what they could do. I think they need a really big person to do that with right now. Which I don't know if they have that right now with their current champion.
Not right now. Yeah, yes. But I think they want to spend some time on that, especially because it's basically a brand title for Monday Magic, introduced there, defended there. Most of the women's matches take place there. So that should be something that they focus on.
Yeah, I like that call. What's next?
Daga.
Oh no, whatever you're going to say, I don't like it.
Daga will lose and regain the GHC Junior title 2 more times. 2 more times?
Okay. Yes. I love the prediction Ashutosh had last year where he was like, there will be one good junior match. And I did not list that as accurate, but he brought it up. And I guess that's fair. The Daga and Makasa match was good. Good enough, I guess. I'll give you that. Yeah. But yes, lose and win back.
Correct prediction. I'm great at these.
Yes, exactly. Typical Noah junior booking. So I definitely highly think this is likely on your part. But let's see where you go next.
Right, the main event of predictions for Pro Wrestling Noah. Kaito Kiyomiya drops the GHC heavyweight title to a WWE wrestler. Ulka Sasaki wins it back.
Okay, that would at least be a long-term story. That would make sense with the title there. I mean, we'll see. We haven't even seen, what's going to happen with Ozawa and Kaito yet.
Correct.
While we're recording this, so who's to say?
This correction might be untrue on January 1st.
I don't know what's going to happen. Like, with Noah, it's impossible to make good predictions, except for that one you said about them flip-flopping the title. That was a very safe.
What's yours?
For me, I went with... I'm saying we're getting a return to Noah. Kota Ibushi is gonna return. He has nowhere left to turn. He's burned the bridge with DDT once again. He cannot stay in Glade forever, Strigga. He has to make an appearance in Noah. He has to redeem himself. I mean, pretty much
it's not like that he's staying in Glade. He's wrestling there from. Did he do one match or 2 matches or whatever?
Yeah, he wrestles once every couple of months there, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he will wrestle once every couple of months in Noah as well this year. And pretty much any match he could possibly have will be a redemption compared to what he did last in Noah. But he has to wrestle somewhere, STRIGGA, and I'm saying Noah will be where he shows up next.
Mm.
What about All Japan? You're going to that show too?
I'm going to at least one All Japan show, if not 3 of them. I'm planning that actually. If I get tickets for the Kurkan double shot. So, the first one is the Aoyagi brothers will win the World Tag Team title next year.
Yeah, they would have to shuffle things around a little bit with this Elpida stuff, but they could do it. There's no reason Aoyagi's the Atsuki can't just join Yuma and do stuff. So why not? They would be a good team. I think they would be a really good team that would be a logical kind of successor. Because right now the Saito brothers are so strong, you really have to craft a good reason for them to lose. And I think that would be a good one. The brothers coming together to be tag champions.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought of. I didn't want to go with the Saito brothers because there might also be a tag title change. Who knows that? What All Japan is doing at the beginning of the year, they sometimes tend to flip the titles either at the end or at the beginning of the year. So just the Aoyagi brothers winning the title next year.
Good return for Atsuki if that happens.
Then I have another tag team that is doing stuff in 2025, but this time they'll face off. Yuma Anzai and Rising Hayato will face each other in the Champion Carnival Finals, with Anzai winning.
I kind of, I was on Jumping Knee Pod recently, and me and Jessica were talking about this, and I was kind of springing it to her that, hey, do you think Hayato could, move up and be a main event guy? And with your prediction, it seems that you think so. You've answered my question strongly there. Yeah, I mean, to me, he has a really great aura about him, he really carries himself like a star. Just his entrance, when he comes into the ring, he really seems like a really unique guy. And I mean, you can see his popularity, especially with women in Japan. I think it's a great idea. They've already kind of sowed the seeds of that with his tag team as well. I love that idea. I really hope it happens. And I definitely like Anzai winning the Carnival too. I was thinking about that as my prediction as well for that, but I went away from it. But I like it. I like the cut of your jib once again.
And it elevates both, right? So Anzai has already been there with the Triple Crown. Rising Hayato, you wouldn't expect him to beat Yuma Anzai, so that would be a fine loss for him. But making him into a person that could realistically challenge for the Triple Crown in the foreseeable future, so would be a win-win situation.
Totally agree. I would really like that if that happened.
The last for All Japan. Dan Tamura and Hikaru Sato leave All Japan Pro Wrestling to join.
Okay. That, I didn't really even think about that, to be honest. But with how things are going with Suwama, if that were to happen, I could totally see obviously they would be the people that he would grab.
Also be the ones that are the closest to Suwama and Ishikawa.
Do you think that they could turn Evolution into more men in there, or would they just be
I have a follow-up prediction for Evolution in my others.
Okay, well, I kind of went the opposite of you with my prediction then with that one. I've got Dan winning a singles belt. Like I said, I think he's going to get that TV title. I think he's going to be the one that's elevated to that Triple Crown challenger status instead of Hayato. I've got Dan is my boy. I'm backing right now. I just think they've set up. He's got more size to him than Hayato. Hayato definitely is more charismatic of a guy. He's really more unique. Dan is a typical bruiser type of guy, and he will have to make an adjustment as a heavyweight. But that was my prediction. I thought I was going out on a limb, but you really went out on a limb.
Went far. I can also totally see him moving up there. He was in a tag team with Shotaro Ashino. Not very successful though.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They're testing the waters.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what about DDT?
DDT. All right. Yeah.
Are you going to their show?
I am going to the Sumo Hall show, and I'm planning to go to Kurkan on January 3rd.
Okay, January 3rd could be a busy day. The way this is playing out for you, my friend.
Oh yeah.
All right, what have you got for DDT?
So Yukio Naya wins the KOD Openweight title and makes a defense against Jun Akiyama.
Okay, Naya is the KOD champ. Okay, like I said, that's the thing is with how they work. I mean, Aoki kind of proved it. They've done it before. That it feels like they could just be like. It feels like sometimes whoever's booking rolls out of bed. Takagi is like rolls out of bed. And he's like, all right, so and so is gonna be the champ today. And like, oh, Yuji Hino, let's put the belt on him. We'll have a run. And like, if that comes to pass here, maybe we could see that happening again. And he is a guy they put a lot into. I think they definitely want him to get to that. I'm not really a big fan of his personally, but I do think he's got something that they would want. He's got the great size too, and him and Akiyama could be good. I'd like to see Akiyama get another shot as well. So I think that's definitely reasonable. I would say.
I have two more that sound not silly, but more unreasonable. Actually, the second one is not unreasonable because it's DDT. I'm predicting that a bicycle will win the Iron Man Heavyweight Metal title.
I mean, who could argue with this logic if that happened? I mean, I like that you're going for the big moments as well. Here, I mean, that's a game changer. If the bike wins, Iho del bicycle wins the title.
Oh, a masked bicycle.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! You're building rivalries now as well. So, bike versus bike, who will win?
You have great transitions for my predictions here, Dylan, because the next one is built off a rivalry of sorts that put Tetsuya Endo out for some time. I am predicting that Katsuhiko Nakajima makes an appearance in DDT and has a match with Tetsuya Endo.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, that's the most logical thing. Making any prediction with Nakajima, anything could be true and unreasonable at the same time. It could be the most logical thing or the craziest because his mind is all over the place. We just never know what he's gonna do next. So I definitely could buy it. Him and Endo having a match was the logical thing. A lot of people thought they were going to do that this year. They were kind of setting that up with that Aoki stuff on there. But that's going to have to be another thing. Like if they set up a match with Endo and Nakajima, like Aoki's going to have to like try to run in on that and be like, no, I've been the one calling out Nakajima the most. If that happens.
Nakajima is basically just like Kota Ibushi. You cannot predict anything that the guy is up to.
Yeah, exactly. Like, both of them have burned bridges in many different companies. I'm calling my shot here. I'm thinking we're gonna get a Takeshita versus Tanahashi rematch in DDT.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Tanahashi retirement road. Takeshita, that they had one of their biggest matches when he was still a rookie. I think Tanahashi wants that. They didn't do it in New Japan. I thought for sure they were gonna set that up.
One in DDT and in.
Yeah, they didn't do it in New Japan. And I thought for sure they were going to when Takeshita was there over the summer. But they said no, we don't want Tanahashi, and it worked out with Oleg, well enough. I wish he had been in instead of Callum, if they could do that. But I think they're gonna. I don't think Tanahashi's gonna let this chance slide without one more go round with one of the best wrestlers in the world. What about Dragon Gate?
Yeah, Dragon Gate. That is correct. I am predicting that Masaki Mochizuki revives the Mochizuki Dojo with Ryo Fuda, Daiki Yanagiuchi, Akihiro Sahara, and with his own son, Mochi Jr., helping him win another championship.
I like the idea, and it gives a lot of these. The thing is, pretty much all of the rookies that you said, Sahara just got here, so it's kind of normal. But the other two, it's like they've been around. It's like, come on, like what are we doing with you guys? Like you guys are still at the bottom of the roster.
They don't like Ryo Fuda.
Yeah, well, Fuda. I mean, Yanaguchi's. They're trying to tell a story with him at least, but he's still at the bottom of the roster. Like Fuda and him are the bottom two guys. Now that Ishikawa retired,
at least he's wrestling more frequently now.
That's true, and that's kind of the thing you look for. You want to just see him wrestle, like with Fuda specifically. That would be great. Mochi Jr. It could be good. It would kind of feel like a step backwards to go back with his dad right now, and especially because I love what they're doing with Gold Class, but they're also not really pushing them that much either.
No, he's losing left and right. He's always on the losing side.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're a great group, but they're not pushing them at all. So if that's a very reasonable prediction, and I think that could at least get him back in a good sense of things. And they're a great team. Like so, I have no problem with this as a fan, and I think it's possible they need to do something like with the units for sure in DG, and I think this is as good of a prediction as any.
Wonderful transition once more, Dylan. I am predicting that KZ betrays natural vibes to join up with Shun Skywalker.
We get heel KZ back, like grimy rapper. Yeah, KZ.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, bring back the jumpsuit. He's got
maybe not. Maybe not. But yeah, we haven't seen KZ as a heel in many years. Feels like that there might be a change coming, and as I said, they need to transition some guys from units to units. Maybe open up a new unit. I don't want to do the traditional Zebrats splitting up prediction that I do in every show. I'm just sitting here and saying KZ betrays.
Okay. Well, we can see that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like I said, who knows what they're gonna do with Zebrats? You know, like I said, it's like we always want it to happen, and things just keep going. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, KZ heel, I'm up for it. And he's just kind of treading water at this point. I mean, the tag run was nice, but yeah, like I mean, I kind of figured it wasn't gonna last that long just because Flamita would probably have to go back, and they said nope, you get a month as tag champion. Twin Gates.
I think for Zebrats, I think that Kai and Ishin could be on the could be on the cut here with the group. I think they might be turning face again, and I think they will form a new Dragon Gate Hoss team, winning the Twin Gate title and taking part in the Real World Tag League.
Yeah, Kai back at All Japan. I'm totally down for that. Yeah, he's a little bit more broken down than he was the last time he was in All Japan. I will say that.
Significantly,
yeah. But seeing Ishin get a shot would be great. He'd fit right in, I would say. I was kind of thinking Kato might be the one to turn, the hero of justice. Like, I always kind of feel like he's so determined to be a babyface, he might force that issue.
But he's such a great natural heel.
Yeah, that's the thing. Ishin also a very good heel. So, it's interesting. That's the problem with Zebrats is a lot of these guys are kind of better as heels. And the only one who's not is like Kai, and it's like Kai, he's kind of like past his peak at this point. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. I kind of get the feeling. I think a lot of people are thinking Shun is going to be the one to turn babyface at this point, which is something I predicted like at the start of this year. That I've always said that was his end game with this whole character is that he would round about because his first babyface run didn't light the world on fire, but I think they see it in him.
I think though that he has so much more mileage as this delusional heel character.
I totally agree. Like he's so
touch it right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, honestly. Like I there's part of me that wants to see them pull the trigger, but when I look at how great he is, it's kind of hard for me to really not agree with you. So for me, my prediction for DG, I was looking at things. I was thinking, man, who can we have a return for DG here in 2025? And I was looking at, I remember I was watching some of his matches, to be honest with you. And I was thinking, man, Fujikawa was such a good rookie, man. Like I said, when he came in, and he had that jaw injury, but he's been gone for a few years now. So let me call my shot, Sora Fujikawa, making his return.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a fan of his. I think they need another guy like him in DG. And I think he'd be a great guy. And, they need a little bit more freshening up. I think that's the one problem. I like DG, for sure. I think they've had a good year overall. We talked about it in the last episode. But I do think the unit and everything, like all of our predictions are kind of bringing people back or switching people around. Just because I think it's a little stale overall. And I think they need something this next year.
All right. Yeah. Like it.
All right. So where do you want to go next?
I actually have just 3 predictions that are not from those 5 promotions that I mentioned.
Okay. Great.
So I want to just start out with something that I've seen some people mention on Twitter as well, and that is Sari moves back to Stardom and wins the World of Stardom title there.
That would be like a huge like that would be a huge blow to Marigold if that
Absolutely.
happened.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be
And I
really.
can't see Stardom trying to make the move because she's obviously
Oh, duh.
the wrestler in Japan right now.
Yeah, when it comes to the women's scene, I would say this year overall, unlike DG, has been a really rough year for pretty much every Joshi company. Like to be honest, yeah, outside like Stardom was actually kind of was better this year than last year because last year was like really bad for them. But everything else has just been a really rough thing, and I think Sari going to Stardom would be a great thing for them for sure. And I think she would be a wonderful red belt champion if that happened, as she's proven in Marigold. I mean, we just saw that match with Nana Takahashi, which was
Oh my God! What a great match that! What a great fight that was!
it made me want to tear up knowing Nana is about to retire like in a few months.
Yeah.
But Sari's great. Her as red belt would be freaking awesome. So yeah, I could totally see that, and they've got the cash if they need to dip into things to get her over. And I think she would be the kind of person that could really move the company forward as well. You need that right now.
Totally. Then I've said it before. I have another prediction for Evolution that is no longer just called Evolution Yoshi Pro Wrestling. It is Evolution with Zuwama taking part of the office. I say that Evolution will successfully run Kurken Hall, which means drawing at least 900 fans to the building.
Yeah, the fact that they changed the name pretty much kind of plays into what you said earlier about Dan and Sato leaving. So I think it's a good prediction. I think that we're going to see who comes there. Let's see if this is our time. This is our promotion to get what I think we've always wanted. I think both of us, and I think many of the listeners agree with this, that we want Black Mensa Ray to be a main eventer in Japanese pro wrestling. And I think this is our chance to see it in Evolution.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's my
prediction that he's going to main event Evolution.
I think we will get at least one Black Mensa Ray main event in Evolution. That's my prediction. On the fly, I didn't even think of that, but now that you brought it up, I think we have to see it.
Are you saying that he's going to be a wrestler in the main event, or is he going to referee the main event?
Maybe both. What if he does both at the same time? Have you ever thought about that, Strigga?
No, that would be a real Evolution.
I told you this is another progressive promotion we have going on right now. Innovating. That's what Suwama's all about.
All right, my final one is a feel-good prediction for next year, and that is Fujita Junior Hayato returns to pro wrestling.
That would be a totally great moment. I would love to see that. Well, nobody is going to be like, no, we don't want that. Everybody wants that. Just not as just in wrestling, but also just as a human being. Like everything he's been through, to see him come back like that would be so special and so awesome for him and all of his friends and loved ones. So I really, really hope you're right on that, man. That would be a great thing for me. I just have a couple more myself. For Stardom, I did have a prediction. I had Poi winning the red belt this year. Yeah. I'm going with Natsupoi. I think this is the year of Natsupoi, 2025, coming up. I think that she is going to be one of the main stars. Her and Sari is now like a dream match you put into my head. But no. So that could be a big thing going forward. That's my big feud for Stardom. Marigold, I will say that and she's already kind of teasing it. This is like a really easy prediction to make. But Iwatani, she's jumping ship from Stardom to Marigold. Yeah, like we all knew it anyway, so we might as well just throw that in for Marigold, which would be great because listen, Iwatani and Sari's match this year was one of the better ones of the whole year.
Sure, for sure.
If they could get them in the same company, but it would be kind of funny if she went to Marigold and then Sari immediately to Stardom. So I kind of hope both of those things come true. I think that Tokyo Joshi Pro, and I think this could kind of extend to DDT as well. And maybe even it depends on what Cyberfight and Takagi and all this wants to do. But I think especially TJP, because they kind of teased it. They did the Bright Eye show like last month. I think that they're going to have a major show this time outside of Japan, like a non WrestleMania weekend. I think they're going to do like title, POP title level show outside of Japan this year.
I see.
Yeah, I think they're going to make a push for it. I think all of Cyberfight is probably going to, but because we saw what New Japan did this year. Like they put so much of their mid-year into the, before G1, they were really focusing hard on the U.S. market. with stuff, and it was successful. So I think that other companies might want to try that now that they've had time to kind of prepare for it. And I think that's what we're going to see.
I mean, both DDT and TGPW have shown that they have a significant fan base.
Yep. Yeah.
With Prestige, for example. So that worked. Oh, and with the Defy, that worked out well for them.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And they only have more time to build relationships, with WrestleMania weekend and all of that stuff. So, yeah, in general, no, not really a prediction, but just an overall way to go out for before we get you on out of here. What's your vibe? Like, you're going to Japan, and I think when you come back, you're going to be on a real high moment. And I'm like, yes. like I went to all these shows. It would be a shame if you came back and how's your trip to Japan? It sucked. yeah, like everything sucked. I hate Japan now. I hate wrestling. Hopefully I don't think that'll happen. But before you go there, what's kind of your vibe on the scene as a whole going into 2025? Do you feel like we're on the verge of something good or bad, like overall for the scene?
I have just finished out the 2 New Japan Road to Tokyo Dome shows. And the vibe that I got from these 2 Korakuen shows was really good.
Yeah, me too.
Last show we talked about how the build wasn't exactly great, but I thought these 2 shows produced a lot of great moments, especially between Shota Umino and Zack Sabre Jr. Also with the juniors, they made the effort to add the letter TLC stipulation. They made sure to tease something with Hiromu and Tetsuya Naito. They faced off El Desperado and Doki again. So they made a real good effort to at least push the show a bit more, which makes me more excited for this show. And when you look at some of those cards on paper, I really think that we're going to see some good wrestling. I'm still hesitant to say how successful these shows will be from the crowd side of things. But I think that the vibe around this time of the year is really great, and I know a lot of people that will be traveling to Japan for this period of the year, and I know that Sandra will be landing on the same day as me, and we already talked about going to Korakuen Hall to buy tickets for the upcoming shows and to have breakfast before DDT. So we'll do that. So there will be a lot of good vibes around this time. Will be interesting to see how sustainable it is for all these companies. I think they'll put a lot of effort into growing next year. I can see that All Japan continues their growth in 2025. Just like I said, with establishing new guys on top. I think that Dragon Gate will move into a better direction in 2025. For Pro Wrestling Noah, I don't really know. As you said, it's hard to predict anything that could happen in Noah. We had this good run at the beginning of the year. Then it suddenly dropped off again. DDT has a lot of great talent that could make the move up, and they are focusing heavily on those celebrities that turn to pro wrestlers with the debut of Sakuraba coming up there. That is a niche that they are going to, and they could be successful at. We've seen the case of Takechi Gates that he drew for them. So I don't think that we'll see pre-pandemic success for Japanese pro wrestling, but I can see them moving a bit up the ladder and going away from what seemed to be a real down year overall. But that always requires a good creative side of things, because it's the talent surely is there. When you, for example, take New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom card, go up and down the card, the talent is there. It really only lacked in them telling compelling stories to really hook you before these 2 Korakuen Hall shows happened to be interested in Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, and I think that they've definitely done. They really haven't actually done that much, in my opinion. These were kind of like basic builds, but because Shota put so much heart into his matches, I think he kind of he elevated that match, which was like a dud coming into this month. They've kind of made it into something interesting. with him and Zach.
Yeah.
I think because of performance level. It's not that they did anything special, really. They just booked matches. And I think that because they did such a good job in them, it set things up for, it set the stage for a good main event at least. In general, though, I really get the vibe, at least for me, between those shows, everything we've got going on, really. Like, All Japan, they've already sold, they've had great success with their Yoyogi show even before it's happened. Noah's building to a big show. Again, you can't really predict them too much. And because I think things kind of just, like I said, the last couple of years have really been on the downswing in general. I kind of get the sense that things are about to bubble up a little bit, like in 2025. I think that they've come in, and we kind of mentioned the stuff with the U.S. Right now the country is in a really weird place, which is kind of bad for me living here. If the dollar goes down or something like that in value. But I could honestly see that, and if that happens, I could see companies becoming more insular to Japan again, like really focusing a lot on that. And I think All Japan's always been like Japan-centric, but the other ones have constantly tried to shift outside and mainly towards America specifically, not necessarily other countries. New Japan had their show in England or whatever, but I think that they're going to become really focused this year. I think we're going to see more focus than ever on Japan in 2025. And I think that they're going to, this is going to be a good year overall. It's kind of what I'm getting the sense of. I don't know. Obviously the Dome show is going to be the one that has the most eyes on it in terms of if they do a huge number here, that's going to be a great sign for the future. And they haven't really done that in a few years. Before, like you said, pre-pandemic, I think that may be a big ask. I don't think it'll get that high, but I definitely think we're going to see a good bounce back for most companies. It's something I've really been interested in, Strig. And I'm going to try to turn this into a plug before we get out of here. On the Patreon, I've been doing my report card series for companies over the years. And I'm grading companies on 5 different subjects. New Japan, Noah, All Japan. I've got 4 or 5 more to come. All these promotions we talked about, these predictions pretty much. And I was studying their business sense and their trends from last year to this year. And the thing I noticed was there really wasn't a great difference, in a lot of the major shows. There was minor differences, maybe 500 here for a big show, 500 there for a big New Japan show. But it's not like outside of the February show this year was significantly better with Naito in the New Beginning show. That was the one that really was a great jump. Everything else was kind of the same. Some were a little better, some were a little worse. All Japan was kind of the same, but mostly better. But it wasn't a big difference either way. And I think we're going to see another step forward for a lot of these companies. I think New Japan will even out. A lot of those shows that did less than last year will do better this year. And the ones that did better will take a step forward. So I get the sense it's going to be a positive year in the grand scheme of things for Japanese wrestling as a whole. And maybe I'm being optimist, but that's not just me being optimistic. There's logic behind it as well. I really think that we're going to see that. So here's to hoping, and here's to hoping you have a great trip, man. You're about to live the dream. Coming in there, and we will definitely talk about that. All the cool stuff that you're gonna do. People want to know, and not just me. I'm not the only one. People want to know what you're up to.
Yes, I'll definitely take a lot of photos, take a lot of pictures, update everyone while I'm in Japan. That is going to be.
And you will be back.
I will be back.
You're not just going to stay there forever.
No, I just don't have the time to stay there forever. It's a rather short trip in comparison to others, but I'm doing that. And I'm looking to get to as many wrestling shows as possible in that time frame.
That's true. I know that for a fact.
That is going to be what I'm up to in the coming days. I've got everything prepared, to be quite honest. All my stuff is packed up. I've got everything that I need on my phone. I've got... I just have everything that I think I need in Japan right now. So we'll see how it goes.
And you've got what you need in your heart, too. That's the most important thing, I think. But what I need the most in my heart is you, the listeners. right now. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show all year long with all the stuff that we've done. We ended the year on a good note. Last episode, we kind of talked about it. I was like, man, I really didn't want to go out so early, like for the year. So I did the Christmas special with Yannick, which was a ridiculous show, like for sure. Very little seriousness was had on that particular show. But we did get to see what would happen if I put Kazuki Hirata and Shun Skywalker together as a tag team on there. So we did get that. We talked a lot about stuff. It was a crazy show, lots of fun. The awards, go to our Twitter at Eastern Lariat. We're gonna have the thing, like the Google thing, which I made this year. Yay. I did it, which I basically just copied it over for what we did, but laziness all abound right now. But no, it's still it doesn't matter. It was the original one was good. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, Strigga. Exactly. So we got that. Check us out on Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, cagematch.net, Spotify, everywhere. Give us nice thumbs up and nice reviews and all of that stuff. It actually helps the show for real if you could do that. Check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/Eastern Lariat. Like I said, check out the report cards. How did your favorite company do this year? I grade the whole companies. I'm trying to bring back snack time, Strigga. I don't do that in your classes. Do they have that in Germany, snack time?
Don't.
Where you eat something?
Oh, we eat stuff, yes, but
yeah,
I've never heard the term snack time.
Oh, what about nap time? Do they have that?
Nap time they do have in kindergarten, actually.
That's really where only snack time is here as well. But we did, like I said, my particular second grade teacher did bring back snack time, and it's something that stays with me to this day as a wonderful teaching mechanism. So my campaign to bring back snack time continues, but also grading Japanese wrestling promotions, the thing that we all love most. But yeah, thank you guys so much. We really, really appreciate you all. There's going to be a great number of things coming up. Like I said, Strigga's going to have a new insight. He's going to, it's like, I feel like you're evolving. Like, you're turning from, you're really in a great spot right now. You're evolving to that final form, I feel like, of yours. Much like a Pokemon, in my opinion. I
was just going to make the Saiyajin. The Pokemon is fine too. I'm evolving to be next Strigga one.
That's like Digimon now. You're digivolving now. Okay, you're doing it all. You're turning Super Saiyan. You're evolving. You're digivolving all at the same time. Look at this man right now. No one can stop him. Now that we've seen Strigga in Japan, what havoc will be wreaked? What fun stuff will you do? Who will you meet? I want to know all of it, and I know we will all find out together. This is the journey we're all on, living seriously through our good friend and the one we all love, Strigga.
Thank you, Dylan. That means a lot. Yes, I also want to thank everybody for listening this year. It's been around quite the special road for us too, with time off and time back here, and now I'm being so busy. Thank you also, Dylan, for keeping up with the schedule for the Eastern Lariat, doing solo shows, doing shows with others. So that was very helpful as well.
Absolutely. I had to do it for the people. Had to do some good things as well. All these shows are very good for me to do as well. Always have a lot of fun. Always have a lot of happiness, and that's what we want to bring to the table. Well, sometimes it's not always happy in wrestling. Sometimes there are bad things as well, but that's life. Like, life has a lot of bad things in it as well, but we all get through it together, and I really hope everybody out there has a wonderful Christmas, wonderful New Year. Lots of free food. That's the most important thing. Probably some drinking going on, especially if you are in Japan on New Year's, as I understand it. Yes. There. So we will see how that plays out. But most importantly, we will see you guys later. And until then, I hope you guys know, just like always, I love you. And until next time, sayonara.
Sayonara.
前に一体何をしたって言うんだ。結果出なかった努力ちり積もって道塞いでも運命にはこう未来を見舞いしてもいいぐらい。ひらめいても届かない広い闇の中でも何億光年先の愛を照らす。この無力さや不なしさ全部吐き出したの夜も君が知ってはミュージックまるで超ないぞみたいね。Stay on the beat 自由自在に表現していい。違うことに劣等感を抱くなよ。いつまでもいつも先はショーバー時々でもワンプスコーティングのリマイハーロスのファンディーズホランホランジャスティス選択肢なしで冒険のファンディーもうないないないどれだわけのわからステンダード何が大丈夫やれどうぞやれだ世の胸にはまだ出せるよ湧いたまま初めてじゃないこの瞳は嫌いこびるピザがこんなにきらめいても届かない広い闇の中でも何億光年先のライフを照らす。勝手にやイメージ